What's up guys, Darcizzle and Puddin here this afternoon, and today we're just going to get right into our favorite saltwater fishing gear for both inshore and the deep sea offshore fishing. Christmas and the holidays are coming. Don't forget about my fish hook and anchor bracelets that I sell on the website, hand tied by me. Dozens of colors to choose from, and yes, these are unisex bracelets, including sterling silver anchors, and I also make these awesome necklaces as well, braided necklaces with custom charms, sterling silver charms, so don't forget that, and that'll be linked down in the description below. But I'm going to get right into the lure portion of this video and what we like to use for both inshore and offshore fishing, and I'm going to start with soft plastics.
The plane going by, don't mind that.
All right.
We're trying to do this off the cuff and real.
Yeah. All right, so planes going by, apologize for that. So the first thing I want to talk about are gambler lures, and you guys have been watching my videos and your subscribers, you know about these. We love these. Gambler lures, they make an awesome variety of soft plastic swim baits. They even make stuff for bass fishing like worms and crawlers and creatures and all kinds of crazy stuff. But for me, I like to use their swim baits called the Easy Swimmer. And they have a variety of these. They have four different sizes, and then they even have big ones up to like 10 inches long. They get really big. And we like to rig these a couple different ways. Here's a perfect example of one. This is rigged with a swim bait hook, and this is a free sliding weight that you can adjust to where you would like it to be. And you got a grip pin hook, a grip pin up here in the front where you can rig it properly. And I've caught everything on this particular lure, everything from bass to crappie to everything inshore as well. Even though
snook.
We're not talking about freshwater fish, but these work great for freshwater, including snook, yes. And just a couple of the colors that we like to use. Ghost Shad is like my go-to favorite. And we also got the lightning, the white color. White is always a good go-to bait as well. And they have, lately, if you've been watching the videos too, we've been catching trout on these with the chartreuse tails, Laguna Glass, and chicken on a chain. They've been working excellent for me. So check that out. I have all this stuff and all the gear that we like to use in our Amazon store, which is linked down below. So please check that out. And then really quick too, I just want to show you a standard swim bait hook with no weight on it, which is perfect for throwing around salt water, catching snook, tarpon, everything will eat that. And you can see the action on the tail. And then we also have a new one that Gambler makes, the Easy Vibe. It has a lot of ribs on the side of it, and it just gives it a lot of extra action in the water. And I was throwing this the other day actually for bass, which works great for bass. But like I said, you just want to throw this inshore. You can even throw them under docks and bridges. You'll catch all kinds of things sitting on the bottom, including snapper. So Gambler Lures, they've been a supporter of ours for a long time now, and I just love their swim baits, so please check them out. And they last a while too after a fish has ate them. The next swim bait or soft plastic I'm going to talk about is the DOA lures. And DOA, you've been watching my videos, you know I slay fish on these things. I have a couple of different colors I like to use on a daily basis when I'm out inshore fishing, but in particular you can see this guy right here. I have caught snook, giant tarpon on it. I mean 40, 50 pound tarpon on this little tiny bait, snapper, moonfish, you name it. I've like caught every saltwater species on this lure. It's insane what this thing does. It doesn't have action like it does with the Gambler, but it darts and goes all over the water. It does crazy stuff, so I love these, including this hot pink one. It works great. And then here's just a couple other varieties that we like to use. The darker swim baits when you're fishing darker water. And then they also come in a variety of yellow eyes and red eyes, and the red eyes seem to work best for me. But DOA, awesome little bait, and they're fairly inexpensive too, and these are in the Amazon store as well, so check that out. But I love to throw these usually first thing in the morning to see what the fish want to eat, including like ones with like the red chin here. You can see we just throw that around as well. They work great. And then don't forget about DOA's shrimp. I haven't caught a ton of fish on this yet. I also don't throw it enough, but this is supposed to be an excellent bait as well. Just work it slowly on the bottom.
Yeah, everybody in the world catches fish on that DOA shrimp but us. Well, because we don't use it, but everyone loves it.
That's the thing. You have to be confident in what you're throwing, and a lot of times I'll switch it up real quick because I'm not catching anything. But if I catch something on a lure, I usually stick to that lure and I don't change it up. So it's always good to have a variety and see what the fish want to eat. So now that we're done talking about the soft plastics, we're gonna move on to the hard baits or the swim baits with lips on them. And if you watch my videos, you know about this as well, but I love YOZURI lures. These are my go-to lures, especially when we are basically going on a boat ride and we're trolling around, we're trolling close to structure, close to docks, close to pilings, and these things slay the fish. These get down 4 to 6 feet deep. In particular, these are the 3DS Minnow 100. there's a suspending minnow. So once it stops in the water, it suspends, you know, in the middle of the water column, which is pretty awesome. So you can twitch, pause these, retrieve them steady, fast retrieve, slow retrieve, and then also troll them. And we like to troll around, what is it, 4 knots?
About 4 knots.
4 knots. So in particular, these 2 colors work great for me. I don't know why the fish love them so much, but they do, including this colorful one. And I'm gonna link all this stuff in the Amazon store too, so check it out. And with the diamond shape on the lip there, it just gives it the advantage of getting deeper in the water column.
Right, I'd also throw in that you can throw those from the surf, like during the mullet run or any surf fishing, and I actually caught my first tarpon, like our first tarpon, like in 2014 on one of those baits.
Yeah.
So they really work.
Yeah, I've hooked multiple big fish offshore with them. Sometimes they will throw the treble hooks, so sometimes people like to rig them up with a single hook on them as well. But YOZURI, they work great, and I've had, like this one in particular, it just got tore up by fish. Actually, this one's a better example.
Better tore up.
You can see how tore up it is just from over time, and now this lure's not swimming correctly. It's just because it got beat up by fish. So it's caught so many fish, it's insane. And I lost a couple this past week, so I gotta get some more.
Right.
So, but yeah, YOZURI lures, one of my go-tos for sure. And then we're gonna talk about the bigger lip diver, which is this is the RAPALA X-Rap Magnum 30, I believe. Magnum 30?
Yeah, I think it's a 25 or 30.
X-Rap 30. X-Rap Magnum 30, I was
go.
right. So this dives up to 30 feet deep. And this is a great inshore lure, but also a great offshore lure. And this color really is a ticket for us. They really like this lit up color, and when it goes past them, they just have to pounce on it. I've caught really tiny snook on it, like little 20 inchers.
Just last week.
Yeah, that try to eat this giant bait, and then monsters on it as well. Snook love this thing. So I love to troll it under bridges when you're going through a no wake zone, and I'll just troll it real quick and get it down to the bottom, and basically till I feel the lip hitting the bottom, and I know I'm in the right spot. So usually big fish will blow it up. But this color is the hot tiger? Fire tiger?
I think so. I'm not sure.
Brian just bought us more because I lost the other one.
Yeah, we just lost one, and I bought 2 immediately the same day.
Yeah.
To get them back.
But this is the Amazon store too. This is my go-to deep diver lure. So we always have one of these out when we're trolling these guys around, these YOZURI lip divers around. I'll always have a big one out to get really deep. So that is it with the hard baits. And then once again, for offshore trolling, you can use this. We use it quite a bit, and we'll send it way back. And when we're trolling, usually that brings the lure up in the water column, but the more line you let out, the deeper this thing is gonna go. Right. So always have something getting really deep in the water column when you're trolling inshore and when you're trolling offshore.
Right, offshore, that's where you can get it down to that 30 feet it talks about when you let out like 100 feet of line. And offshore, we've caught tuna, mahi, Wahoo will hit that. So that's just another lure we use everywhere.
Yes. I also forgot to mention too about the Gambler swim baits, that not only can you rig them up on swim bait hooks, but you can also rig them up on mustad jig heads. I was saying I use mustad swim bait hooks for these as well, but the jig heads work great too, especially when you're fishing, you want to bounce it off the bottom real nice and slow. This is a perfect lure for that, or perfect jig head for that. And then you can also use this, of course, for shrimp as well. If you got live shrimp, put it on a jig head and get down deep to where the fish are at.
Why don't you just mention those FLAIR hooks real quick,
yeah.
And I'll get to some of the rods.
Yeah, I was going to get into that now.
Sorry.
So for FLAIR hawks, we have been using FLAIR hawks more frequently recently because everybody slays fish on these things. I know you don't think a fish would eat this, but it will. And on the bottom, when it bounces, it kind of just creates a flare in the water with these hairs here. Really just creates a presentation to snook in particular, who just swallow these things up. Brian's been slaying fish on these FLAIR hawks lately. We like to use Gambler FLAIR hawks, or actually it's Hooked Up Lures. The sister company of Gambler, Hooked Up Lures, makes an excellent FLAIR hawk as well with a swinging hook on it. But these are just a couple examples of it, and they work great. You're gonna lose quite a few of them on the water. It's just part of the game. With these hooks, they get stuck on the bottom, but you have to learn how to fish them. It takes time, and it takes patience and practice and diligence, and we're getting there. I haven't caught a fish on it yet, but Brian slayed a ton of fish on it, I'll be honest. So these are two colors that work great for Brian. So I've been trying to catch up to him. Okay.
All right, should I do some rods now, Sizzle?
Yeah, switch it up.
All right, let's switch positions here so I can, well, you stand over there so I can still see you, otherwise I'll turn off the video. Oh, one thing I wanted to mention is, so we don't get in any trouble, is a lot of these companies we're sponsored by, all right? Gambler, YOZURI, Mustad. So we're sponsored by them. So I let you guys know that just so everyone knows, so we're transparent, right? That's a big deal these days. let me go over some of the rods and reels. I know when you see the individual videos, oftentimes you go over the lures and you see the lures and you see the rods, but I want to give you a little bit more overview, particularly based on the price point. Now, if you've just started saltwater fishing, you want to go out and get yourself a rod and reel, let's start with a beginner setup or lower inexpensive deal. And pretty much for saltwater fishing, if you're going to get a fishing reel, the lowest you want to get is a Daiwa BG, okay? They cost about $100, and you can watch reviews or look anywhere you want, but they're going to tell you that that's the best reel for the price, which is about $100. This is a small one, the 2500. We also use big ones up to 8,000, okay? And if you're a recreational angler, that's really a lot of what you're going to need. You don't need too much more than that. If you're a charter guy, it might wear out over time, but that's a great first reel. And again, we use them all the time, and Darcy is hard on her gear, and we go through stuff, so, and this is very reliable. The rod is a TSUNAMI rod, and we used to be sponsored by them, no longer, but TSUNAMI, you know, heard about them more up north, but they make, you know, some pretty decent rods, very inexpensively, and particularly we like the Airwave series, right. You see, I don't know if you can see Airwave on there, but they're blue.
Airwave Coastal Series.
Airwave Coastal Series. Anyway, they're blue, and they're pretty good, and we have
they're
little
known
ones.
for their surf rods.
And yeah, like up in the Northeast, they're known more for the surf rods and stuff like that, but they got a huge selection. You can get them at the big box stores or on Amazon or wherever, all right? So that's a great reel for $100. Another great reel for about $100 is the CABOs, Quantum CABOs. This is really the shark reel we've been using forever. This is the CABO 80, the big reel, but of course it comes in smaller sizes too. And Darcy caught so many sharks on this reel and so many big tarpon and everything else over years and years. We never got it serviced, and then she bent the spine in it, which is the main, you know, gear in the middle, and he sent us a new reel. So we love it. It's inexpensive. I think they're 120, 130 bucks or whatever, depending on what size you get. So that's been really very great for us. And this rod is a random rod. I think I bought it at the yard
Star
sale.
rod.
Star rod. Everyone loves star rods. All right.
Star rod. I've spent big snook under bridges.
Yeah, she uses this for big snook under bridges. When you have to haul something out, we use it for blacktip sharks off the beach. We use it for monster tarpon at the on the bridge.
Fishing the wrecks.
Fishing the wrecks, jigging heavy AJs. This is a great setup, all right? All right, next price point is, you know, maybe doing a lot of fishing and you want something a little bit smoother, and you're gonna maybe go up to a Shimano Saragosa, all right? So this is Darcy's former go-to reel. It's a Shimano 6000. It's like a decent size for offshore. You want to do a 6,000 or 8,000 offshore. Inshore for snook and stuff, maybe like a 4,000. Trout, you want to go less than that. So that reel is going to cost you about $250 to $300, $269. All right. We also have this on another TSUNAMI rod. All right. Now, if you're a big dog, you want to spend a whole bunch of money, or if your boyfriend wants to buy you an excellent Christmas present, you're going to get a Stella. All right. So this is Darcy's go-to snook rod or all-around rod. She uses it for everything inshore and, and a lot of offshore too. That's the Shimano Stella. It costs like $1,000, all right? It's a gift. But if you're offshore, trying to catch yellowfin tuna, on charter fishing for these big fish, or doing whatever you're doing, you're gonna need a reel that's gonna hold up under all sorts of conditions when you need it, all right? So that's the Shimano Stella. And we have this on a Shimano rod. This is actually a jigging rod, but Darcy loves it depending on the action, and Shimano makes great rods, all right?
Yeah.
So it's a little bit, go ahead, honey.
Sorry.
You use it every day.
Yeah, I just want to say that rod in particular, reel in particular, is worth every penny. Brian even almost lost it in the saltwater one day around a bridge, dropped it in the water, and we're not very good caretakers of our rods. We don't take them apart. And after that had been dunked in the saltwater, it works perfectly fine. I mean, it's a great reel, it's super smooth, and you can tell that it's a very expensive rod. It's worth reel, it's worth the price, is what I'm saying.
Right, it's a go-to for the higher end folks. And I got it for last Christmas. We used it for a year. We haven't done a darn thing to it. Never got it repaired or maintained or nothing. It's going great. And the rod is Shimano rod, and everyone loves Shimano rods. So that's another upgrade maybe from the TSUNAMIs I talked about. And then after that, you know, if you want to go to, you know, you're going to be going to a custom rod. And the more you fish, the more experience you get, you're going to get really specific on what you want to get. So, you know, maybe a custom rod is going to be in your, you know, in your future. And our custom rods, they come from Barrett rods. I'll talk about them a little bit later after Darcy goes over some of the saltwater lures. I'm going to talk about some of the bigger conventional gear and our saltwater rods. But that's who we use, Barrett. Custom rods for your higher end stuff. And so now back to our lovely host, Darcizzle. If I can reach this with my short little stubby arms and talk about some, I got a hook in a place I don't want to get hooked. Let's go over some of that saltwater stuff, sweetheart.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about just, I guess, lures when it comes to offshore deep sea fishing, and this is in particular to trolling. A lot of times, and more recently, we've been doing a lot more live baiting offshore where we're bump trolling around or drifting or bottom fishing, and we use live bait, which is usually one of the best things you can use. But we also like to troll with certain conditions out there. So starting with this is also, once again, another great rod to troll. We always have this down deep. We have like 5 or 6 lines, about 5 lines out when we are trolling around. And I'm talking about regular trolling at this point. Like, what's the technical speed? 8 to 10?
Yeah, like 8 knots, between 5 and 8, depending on what bait you got out there.
Yeah, 5 and 8, depending on that. That's considered, I guess, regular trolling out there.
Right, let me just touch on that real quick, because people always ask how fast you're going, and we talked about it before with those YOZURI lures. It doesn't matter how fast you're going. It matters how your lures look, okay? I don't know what 4 knots looks like when you're going into the wind, out of the wind, up current, down
into
current. Here, right, up with the current, down the current, into the current. All right, whatever your lures are looking good at, that's where you're going to be. Obviously, live bait, if you're trolling live bait, you're going to go super slow so you don't kill your live bait. If you're trolling ballyhoo, you're going to go pretty slow so you don't wash them all out really fast, especially if they're what they call naked, all right? And if you're just trolling lures, you know, you can go a little faster. But again, that's what your lures look like. The speed is irrelevant.
Yes.
Go ahead, Sizzle.
Now, for us in general, when we are offshore trolling, we really like to tackle down. We don't like to use the biggest presentations or the biggest, most gigantic lures out there. We just really like to go smaller in general and usually get more bites that way. So that's just us personally. But in particular, like these are considered billy baits, and they're a great bait to use for offshore trolling. You will catch everything on this. In particular, we catch a lot of tuna, bonita, I can't think of the other one's name. Blackfin tuna.
Blackfin tuna.
What's the other one? I forget the name right now.
Skipjacks?
Skipjack tuna. Yeah, you'll catch them on this all day long, especially when they're around, but you'll catch mahi on it as well, even the occasional wahoo. I mean, you can catch everything on this. So these 2 colors in particular we love. They are great. You watching our videos, you know about them, and they're in the Amazon store as well, so check that out. Usually we'll have one of those way far back. And then we always like to have a chain out, like a daisy chain, and you'll catch everything on this too. It's mostly used for tuna because tuna like to follow, you know, little baits around. But again, we have caught a wahoo way back in the day on something very similar to this. This is from Dragon Eyes. Dragon Eyes makes excellent chains and other lures as well. But you can see the red eyes, and then you got another one. And then on the end here, it's a little bigger piece, and then you got your hook there, of course. So that works great. You think it's the smallest thing ever, but it slays fish, believe it or not.
It does. We have a light one like that and a dark one, which you see in the video all the time. And if nothing else catches fish, those will catch fish.
Yes. And then what's the name of these things again?
I don't know the actual name, but it's like a knockoff of a Joe Shoot chugger. And these are like $4, and you're gonna find those in a barrel by the checkout register at your local tackle shop.
Chuggerhead. And
and if you're rigging ballyhoo, that's all you need on the front. That's all the pros are using. That's all George Poveromo's using.
Yep.
You don't need a $30 Islander in front of your ballyhoo. All you need is that $4.99 thing.
Exactly. This thing works great. And again, we usually have a naked ballyhoo out there that's skipping on the surface that mimics a flying fish, but this will give you that action, and it'll chug in the water, and it'll create a really nice bubble trail behind your actual bait that's on this. So this works great, and we have a variety of different colors as well. This is actually the standard rig that we use, and you can see the copper wire there and the hook to rig up a ballyhoo. Pink and white, blue and white, purple and black, they all work pretty great. And then we also have, I don't know where that Islander went. But
where did that Islander go?
Anyways, we like to use Islanders as well. I'm not sure where it went. Sorry about that. I don't see it. All right. Well, we like to use Islanders. I'll get one here in a second, and we'll show you what it looks like. But Islanders are great as well, and they can be trolled by themselves, and they really seem to kill it. We'll even put it down deep, like with a planer, and we'll get it down below the water column, and usually sometimes we'll put like a strip on it, a bonita strip, and it just swims perfectly down there. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the regular trolling goes. And then we're gonna move. Oh,
I couldn't find the actual Islander, but just if you just want to pull a lure, you can just pull. You know, a ton of people make these chuggers, and just look like this. You guys have all seen them before. We like the Islander ones. I forgot what they're called, but
yeah,
whatever. A chugger, standard chugger, they're all pretty much the same.
Yeah. So then we're just gonna move into the high-speed trolling, and high-speed trolling we're going from 12 to 14 knots, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less, just depending on the sea conditions, because mainly you're worried about how your baits are swimming, if they're swimming correctly out there. Sometimes it's choppier out there, you have to go slower, so it just depends. But the high-speed trolling, we were successful this year and we caught a wahoo, if you saw that video. We like to use these in particular, which is made by Ballyhood out of California. Ballyhood lures. They sell all their lures here in Florida as well. You can see we have a, is that 200-pound mono?
250.
250-pound mono straight to the lure here. And we caught a really nice wahoo earlier this year. But this one in particular is called the Wahoo Express. They have a couple different versions of these, the smaller ones, but this is the one that we like to use when we are high-speed trolling. And again, I'll link this in the information below for you guys to check out in the Amazon store. We have caught lots of fish on this over the years. We love this thing. In particular, this color, black, red and black. Another awesome wahoo lure by Ballyhood is the famous COWBELL. We love this thing. This one trolls more like right under the surface when you're going fast. You can see that the water actually goes through the head here. You can hear that clacking noise. But this we have caught a lot of awesome fish on, and the Wahoo Express runs a little bit deeper because we have a cigar weight on that. But this one is kind of just under the surface, and this one slays the wahoo, especially in the Bahamas. These guys love these things. But again, Ballyhood sells their things all around the country, including tackle shops right next to us here in Boynton Beach. And that's it for the high-speed version, high-speed part of the video, where the lures go.
We got you, Sizzle. Good. Great job. All right, let me go over some offshore fishing rods. Boop, boop, boop. All right, and going with what I talked about before, we're going to kind of give you like a price range of the rods and reels. First, I'm going to start off with Darcy's bottom rod, and this is actually a medium-priced reel. This is a Maxel, was it Ocean Max? This is one you use, right? 08, all right. And we're not sponsored by them, and Darcy had no trouble with this reel, but you know, it's not a very commonly used reel. But the idea I just want to tell you about a bottom rod is it really going to focus on the power. So it's not going to be high retrieve. You might want a 2-speed depending on what you're trying to catch, like you're pulling up a big grouper or an amberjack. But usually you're going to be like 5.8 to 1 ratio, so you have the power and you want to have a nice handle on here. And this is actually a jigging rod. A lot of people use jigging rods for bottom fishing, but that's really up to you. But that's a gist of that.
And I was just saying in particular, I really love that handle. It's nice and big and nice grip on it, especially when you're reeling up fish from the deep. I just really like that handle on that reel in particular.
Right. And you know, the better your reel, the better your rod, the more expensive your reel is, the better the handle is going to be. When you get a cheaper reel, your handle is going to usually be not very fun. But then when you go to replace it, they cost like 30 bucks. So you can see this Daiwa, you know, has a little crappy handle, which is not much fun. And then you can see, like Darcy's Stella, you know, has this kind of a cool knob on there, all right? So, and you're gonna see that with the rods, reels I go over right now. Dude, I'm gonna strain something doing this. Anyway, you're starting off trolling, you wanna go outside, offshore fishing, you never did it before, you just bought a boat or whatever, and here's what you're gonna get. This is the industry standard. You're gonna get yourself a Shimano TLD 25, a 20, or maybe a 30 even, all right? But a 20 or a 25 is all you're gonna need in South Florida. You're gonna spool it up with some 20 or 30 pound, maybe some pink Andy or whatever it is, Momoy, whatever you wanna do. This is actually a replacement handle we put on here. But this is your basic, all around offshore beginner setup, okay? You're gonna go on Craigslist, you're gonna get this for like 150 bucks, 165 bucks with the rod, whatever rod it is. I don't even know what rod this is, okay? It just came with it when I bought it on Craigslist 10 years ago. And this is perfectly fine. You can catch all the fish in the whole wide world on this, all right? Back in the day, this would be the Penn Senator, right? The 113H or the 114, everyone had the Penn Senators. If you had the one with the red on the side, you were really fancy. I remember. Next up is maybe, if I don't break my back, this is what we used to use for all our fishing offshore. This is an AVET 6.0. Very popular. A lot of you guys probably used them before. Down here in South Florida particularly, we do a lot of live baiting, like Darcy said.
Kite fishing.
And kite fishing and king fishing with our Mustad circle hooks. And so this is a high rate of retrieve. It's like a 6.1 or a 6.2 to 1. So every time you turn this handle, it's gonna be like 40 inches coming in, all right? So when you got your kite bait out, the fish hits the kite, you got all this extra line, you reel it in real fast, or if a kingfish is rushing the boat, you reel it in real fast. So this is very popular for doing that. Big problem with these is really the clickers always go bad, right? And it's got a very short drag curve on here, but that's a little more technical than we need to go into right now. All right, so a lot of guys using Shimano Tiagras and some other Daiwa reels, but this is one of the go-tos, and we just don't use those. We don't have them. Now you want to spend some extra money. We used to be sponsored by Accurate, so we use a lot of Accurates right now. All right, this is the Boss Extreme 600, great reel. People say they're a little bit, they need to maintain them a little bit more than some other reels. We've really had not too many problems, right, Sizzle?
Yeah.
Like the clickers go bad a little bit once in a while, but that's normal.
Yeah, the clickers go bad, and then a couple of them we did have to like get the internal parts replaced, but we're hard on our stuff, so it happens to all of our reels. I don't know, we've had these reels like 4 years now. Yeah. And how many times have we got them to get serviced? Once? Once.
Yeah, so they work pretty good, all right?
Yeah.
And just depending on what you want to do, again, you got a little bit nicer handle. It looks pretty, super smooth. It's got dual drag. This thing's gonna cost you like $400 and something, all right?
Expensive.
Yeah. The IVET's gonna be, brand new. I don't remember, 3 something, and I forget what the Shimano is, but
there's a chugger.
Yeah, there's a beautiful chugger. There you go. There's a nice chugger. This is actually a black barch chugger. So
it works.
It works. So that's really the rundown on the rods and reels. I'll just show you this. Like I mentioned before, the Daiwa and the TSUNAMI rods. This is like our offshore rod. It's just a bigger Daiwa BG and a bigger.
It actually does need some service right now, we'll be honest.
No, that's the other one. That's the other one.
Oh.
Another one we have getting serviced. This one actually works okay. So there we go. Oh, and our big stuff. Here we go. When you're offshore trolling, you always want to get some gear down deep for planer fishing. And this is our planer setup. This is a Shimano TLD 50. And we've been using this reel. I've been using it for before even Darcy, so like 9 years. Works great.
No, we bought that together.
Did we?
Yeah.
No, I was just trying to get away with something there. Anyway. What is that, Ray's, right? Didn't we buy this at Ray's in Boca?
Yeah.
Back when we were first starting? So anyway, 8 years ago. We've been living together 8 years. Can you believe it?
Yes.
I'm pretty cool, right? I know. I'm kind of the shizzle. All right, so we got spooled up a braid so the cuts through the water and gets down deep. This is my planer rod. I have another one exactly on the other side. And I did want to show you one here. This is one of the standard baits down here in South Florida. This is a, what do they call this thing?
Sea witch.
Sea witch. All right, so this is all you really need. You don't need a $50 bait down here. A sea witch with a little double hook rig, and you put your little bonita strip on here, which I showed you guys how to make, and this will catch any fish in the world, all right? We love to use pink, but you can use blue and white, black and red. Those are the big colors down here in South Florida. This is like the go-to for everything, okay? Wahoo especially. And so on one side we'd run this, always with this on here, that's why it's on there, on a planer. And on the other side, we'd either run this or another, maybe an Islander with a ballyhoo on with a cigar weight. I think that's really the gist of it. Did I forget anything, Darcizzle?
No, I think that's it. I mean, did you want to show them that, or that's fine?
No, just some more lures. We keep our lures in these bags.
Yeah.
And you can see we've got a bunch of chuggers in there.
Yeah. And go ahead and drop comments below if you guys have any particular questions on this stuff. We'll be more than happy to answer them. That's what we're here for. We like to provide you guys with tips and tricks, and we didn't get any specifics about this stuff, but if you might have a particular question, go ahead and write it down below.
Yeah, put down in comments below.
But something specific so we can answer it for you.
Yeah, and hit us up on Facebook or Twitter. She gets buried on Instagram, so don't DM her on Instagram. I just can't keep up. But Facebook, Twitter, comments in YouTube, and we'll be happy to help. That's what we're here for.
Yes.
Let's wrap it up.
Exactly. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this video, especially if you stayed through it the whole entire time and you learned a thing or two. If you did learn, comment below. And until our next adventure, follow your dreams and keep on catching.